In prep for this lesson, I did comment out the array declaration in window on load so that we don't get all the noise that first part showed us. I added a call to the associative array test parentheses to that function. And I also added the call to the multi-dim array test, but I commented that out because we're not quite ready for it yet. And I think I finally found the theme for brackets that I love the most. Visual Studio. This is the name of the theme. So all my keywords are blue, all my comments are green. I'm good again. I recognize them. You just go to themes and install it. It's great. Okay. I then collapsed everything so I can see what's going on here, and we're going to be working inside the associative array test function. Let's get the concepts out of the way. There really isn't much here you haven't seen before. Associative arrays, instead of using 0, 1, 2, 3 for our indexes, we use text instead. So what we're really creating here, at least in my mind, is a single instance of an entity. We're not building classes in a way, we're building a class here. But we only get one instance of it, unless then of course we create an array of these associative records, and then we can have an array of elements, but that's getting a little fancier I think we need to get here. The point is we can declare an array like we usually do. And then we don't have to do anything special. We just say, in the element with index first name, add the text thread. Create a second element of the array. Notice there's no numbers here. We don't have to add, don't have to worry about any of that stuff. These are not kept in any particular order, just like in Swift. If you use this technique, you can't guarantee they're going to come out that way. But generally, we don't process them all at once anyways. We say, give me the program name, I need that. Give me the first name concatenated to the last name, I need that. Instead of give me these fields in this order. Some can be numbers, some can have strings in them, can mix and match. So let's try it. Coming over here, first we're going to declare a student record, which is really an array, right? So I'm just going to put the var on there. Remember we had the discussion last time of how the var is necessary. And we'll call this one student, or student. Yeah, student's good enough. You could say student record. That would make it very obvious it's an associative array. I'm going to leave it at that and just declare it as an array. Remember, you can also use new array parentheses to instantiate an element of the array class. This does the same thing. Maybe a comment will take care of it. It's an associative array. I don't recommend you abbreviate that ASS, by the way. It's not a good abbreviation. Associative array. Okay, now we've declared it. That's it. Now I'm supposed to add a first name element. To do that, all I have to do is say student, square bracket, and then whatever I want to call this index, first name, F name, first, whatever. I'll go with first name. And then assign to that whatever value I want. Go ahead and put your name in there or my name, doesn't matter. These others are going to be done pretty much the same way, so I'm just going to be lazy today and copy that. Oh, I haven't got it. There are so many extensions to this that I love. I haven't got them all copied in here yet. There's one that lets you select lines with a single click. Very handy. And just change this stuff to make it match. And let's add, after you're done with the phone number, add an age as well, just so you can see one with a number in it. Paul, you're scowling.
I just don't like the color of
You don't like the color of the constants. You're right. I need to tweak that. That's a little off green there, isn't it? What is it usually in the other ones? Is it blue? I don't know if there's a, I haven't figured out yet how to create my own style so I can really customize this. That's next on my list. All right, down here it says use a loop to display each field level. Before we do that, let's just display one of these. So I'm going to do a document dot write line and say something. Welcome, comma, and then concatenate my field elements. Just some message to test to see that now we've got data in there. Can I extract it? And of course, you can create an array like this, indexed, and pull stuff off the form, right? And put it into here. The nice thing about this is it's an array, so if I want to transfer from one place to another, once I've created it, I can pass it. Remember, it passes by reference. But I can transfer all of the form elements, whatever the user typed, into an array, and then pass that from function to function and do stuff with it.
Using bracket.
Always do. Thank you. Nothing. Really? Cool. How did I do that? Must be a JavaScript error, so I'm going to turn my Firebug back on again. Go to the console. Firebug's not reporting anything. Associative array test should be called. See if we're getting in there. Oh, this is another one of those where I'm doing document write lines and the debugger doesn't want to work. Son of a gun. Okay, that was fun in order to get the breakpoints to work, and they might have been working in Firefox for all I know, because the problem was there were two copies of, or there were two versions of the associative array test function. Somehow there's two of them in here. Maybe I copied them twice and forgot to cut them. But there were two copies, so once I deleted the second one, then everything worked the way it should. Thank goodness. Now underneath here, let's try using that loop. But before we do, let me demonstrate one other thing. And you can follow if you wish or just let it be. What would we expect this to be? The number of elements should be 1, 2, 3, 4, right? I think it's student, is it size? Is it parentheses?
Is that length?
It might be. Length, okay. There again. Time to get rid of the breakpoints. 0. When you do this, the only thing that counts are the elements that have indexes with numbers on them. which can be bizarre because couldn't I use an index with a number on them here as well? Don't know why I would, but yeah, I could, and it would count those. But generally, why would I want to know how many of these there are? I created them, don't I know how many fields I have? For my for loops. So that I can start at the first one and go to the last one. Well, the answer to that is you don't use the standard counter control loop, use a for in loop. For, and we'll call it field in student. And now I have key value pairs because I can display the field and it will show me the field index, first name, last name, I hope. So let's find out. Document, right line, show me the field, concatenate as value, colon, concatenate student. Remember when we were looking at the indexes, even with numbers, when we do a for in loop, it gives us all of the indexes, not the corresponding values. You still have to pull those out of the array. And I probably forgot the parenthesis, didn't I, Ring?
I can't keep it.
Oh, I put one in there for a change. All right, see how that works. First name, last name, phone, age. So the nice thing about this is you can very easily get at the name of the field that you put in there. And then use that same thing to walk through each one of the fields and pull out the data. That's an associative array. Questions? Okay. Now let's comment that one out, and we might come back to it. We'll see. Now let's talk about multi-dimensional arrays. And before I do that, let's just make sure there wasn't anything here I forgot. The toString method for associative arrays doesn't work. Remember there was toString and there's join. And we might be able to join here, but we won't get our field values. If we ask for the length, we saw that, we get 0. And that's why we use a for each or a for in loop to walk through each one of the fields in our student record. Geez, I wasn't even reading that and I got it right. JavaScript does not have multi-dimensional arrays. So if you want to define a multi-dimensional array, you define an array of arrays. Okay, so here's a couple of examples, simple examples with numbers. And what I want to do when we're done here is let's create a small array of students. See if we can mix our associative arrays with our regular arrays and figure out how to find our way through that. Here's a simple array declared right away of an array of numbers. So I've got square brackets with square brackets inside, where here's one array and here's another array. Here's another way to do it. Declare an array with 2 elements and then assign them. I could probably leave the 2 out of there, just define it and say there's an array. And array element 0 is another array, and array element 1 is another array.
Don't you need a comma in the first line? Where it's highlighted?
This one here?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. So there's a comma for the recording, excuse me. There's a comma missing in between there. Then to get at the elements, you just use multiple sets of square brackets where this is referring to the outermost array and this is then the inner part of that array. So if I was, this one according to this returns a 10 because I'm going into element number 1. This is element 0. Here's element number 1 and then 0, 1, 2 gives me the 10. I'm guessing / hoping that with associative arrays, we just put the field names in the second set of square brackets. And the number of the student in the other square brackets, in the first set of square brackets. When you have multi-dimensional arrays, I mentioned last time that arrays and for loops go together like peanut butter and jelly. Multiple dimension arrays and multiple for loops, one for each element or one for each index, multiplicity level of whatever, go together. So here, this walks through the outside array using the length. That assumes, of course, that it's indexed, right? If it's not indexed by numbers, we can't use the length to controller. We could easily have replaced this with a for each loop, a for in loop. And here's the inside loop. So this inside loop just repeats over and over and over again for every element in the inside array. And then we go back up and process the outside array and go to the next outside one. Let's try it with students. I'm going to, we'll just redo all that. I'm going to go to the multi-dimensional array method or function, excuse me. And we could do that. We'll see how excited we are about doing that after we're done. But for right now, I'm going to create an array of students. So the first thing I'm going to do is define my array of students. That's simply an array. Now what I don't have in my notes, and I don't know if it's possible, is can I declare an associative array on the fly? Did you do that? Colons? Let's try it.
Yes, yes, I did. Yep.
Students sub 0 equals square brackets, first name, colon. I'm using apostrophes now. I don't think that matters in JavaScript. Should be okay. So that's an associative member of an array, comma, last name, and I'm going to simplify and just go to age here. And just for grins, one more. So now I have an array that is indexed, and inside I have an array of fields. And if I want to display them, since this is a multi-dimensional, notice I don't say a 2D array. We can now go to a third level, and I can add a classes array, and inside of classes have arrays of students. And then I could have a campuses array, and inside of campuses have an array of classes, each of which has an array of students, each of which has fields. And just keep growing this. And every time you add another layer to the outside, you add another for loop to walk through the whole thing, if that's what you want to do. So I should be able to use a for loop. I'm going to use for ins on both of them. For student, var, in students. For that student, I want to go through all of their fields. So for our field in student, now in students sub-student, whatever the student I'm looking at right now is, give me that person's fields. And here, all I want to do is the same thing I did up above. So now I'm definitely going to get lazy and steal this document right line. It's a good thing I called my individual loop element student, because I can reuse that. If I'd called it something else, I'd have to give it a different name. But field, I use the same names here, so I should be okay. So once again, this is going to start with student number 1. It's going to give me a list of all the fields for student number, or I'm sorry, 0. Display the field, display the value of that field, then go to the next field, go to the next field, go to the next field. Not that many times, there's only 3. Then go back up and get the next student, display their information, go back up, get the next student, just so that we can see the separation. Underneath each student, I'm just going to simply display some dashes. Guess I could have put a horizontal rule in there, it would work just as well, right? Save it and see how my luck's holding up. Not very good. I have an error, so I should be able to go to the console. Where are you hiding? Might have to display it.
It's right there, by your cursor to the right. Wait. On the tab bar, it's the,
I see the error,
yeah.
but I'm looking
straight
for
up.
the, oh, there, up there. Okay, uncut syntax error, unexpected token, colon, on line 138, right there. So it didn't like that colon. You lied to me. Shame on you. All right, so let's do a
Works
little.
some ways.
Well, there's got to be a way, because I remember him doing it. Maybe it's because these are associative arrays and he was using, no, he was doing colons. I don't think I want to do Yahoo search. How did you hijack my browser? But let's go in here. JavaScript, declare an associative array. Oh, I heard somebody told me that Google has disassociated itself, or not Google, but Chrome has disassociated itself.
Firefox has,
Firefox has.
but you're in Chrome, so.
So that doesn't make any sense, does it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what we did. Is there another way? Those must be indexed. Huh?
Oh, you have to put curly brackets around it.
So around, instead
Yeah.
of square brackets?
Yeah,
Really?
yep, that's what I did.
Are there
And,
so,
and I also, no, wait, did I open it? One sec.
and I hope I'm not thinking of your Swift program.
No, I'm staring at it right here.
Is it curly brackets and square brackets?
No, I just used the curly brackets on the outside
Of the associative array.
of the associative array. Yep.
All right, let's try it. And if it needs more help, leave that up.
also for me, I don't know if I define them.
Oh,
somewhere.
oh. I don't know if that's enough.
I was gonna say, what I did in mine was actually the actual,
Field name?
index portion does not actually have any quotations or anything around it. I don't have anything there.
Okay, then I think what you're declaring there is an actual class element.
Yeah, it's a sort of.
Okay. And so this is the field name now, and that's not going to work when I try to walk through it with an array because this is actually a class. Okay, so this is what he did. Just so you know, I've seen this in his JavaScript. All right, but I think what this creates is a pseudo element of a class. Okay, but these are no longer array indices. So I'm still going to do just a little more digging. That's an object, see? Again, it's an object, but I want an array. Come on, show me. Curly brackets around the whole. That's what I've got, right? Except with, put these back.
The top page,
Hmm?
the first page doesn't have.
So I'm guessing there's no easy way to do this.
I started using like C syntax for C++ or C sharp, but it made the multi-dimensional array, but they have no index values and no values.
Which is kind of what I've got here. I created them. For some reason, the values are not coming in there. Did they use colons? Yeah.
If you want, I can send you that link I sent you to way back when you asked me.
Yeah, but those are objects, all
Yes.
right? And I understand that, but the objects I can't walk through with an array, right? Did you?
No.
Walk through the
No, I
elements?
never
No, it gives you access to them like it does a normal class.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what I'm trying to do here is create an associative array of those. But that was good to hear. Again, notice with the curly bracket. Oh, wait a minute. Well, that's what he said. This is kind of what I had before, right? And it wasn't working. Because it said it didn't like the colon, if I remember right. All right, so what I'm going to do is build one student. How? Looks painful, doesn't it?
Wouldn't it be better to create a student and put it inside the master student list?
Could do that. Would it be better? At this stage, I just won't be able to print it.
Are you sure it's without apostrophe? Or do you have to use quotation?
Really? What was that? Oh, come on. Really? No one knew? Oh, there it is. Find. Replace. Well, that failed miserably. Why? So this makes sense, doesn't it? Unless it's my for loop that's messing up.
In your document right line, you missed the last little bit there.
And the print, see? If this doesn't work, I'm giving up and I'll come back to you on it. So it's my for loop. Because here, it does recognize that the name of the first student is Volker, so student sub 0 is Volker, but my for loop here, var student in students, give me the fields in student sub student.
You have to say students.
Yeah, I don't think there's no such thing as a student. Because this is a number, right? That's the number. So this is students sub student subfield. That's painful, but it's a two-dimensional array. How could I, again, I'm thinking the other languages where I say, give me a student out of the students array and poof, you have a student. Not here, you have an index. There we go. Now I wonder how many of those other techniques were working. It was just my for loop that was screwed up. I'll work on that on my own. Let's just think about this part here, these other comments. Declare a month as an array of undefined elements. So months, I can do that one real quick. Var months equals an array. For each of the 12 months, declare an array that includes the appropriate number of elements for each day in the month. Whoa. Okay, so I want to do a for loop here because there's 12 months. For m equals 1. Can I do that? As long as m is less than or equal to 12, every time through the loop, bump it up by 1. Months. Sub m equals a new array 31. Sort of, right? How would you make sure they all had the right numbers? Put a switch statement in there or an if statement in there and say if it's 2, then give it 28. Else, if it's this, I think you got to do the 30-day months because there's fewer of them. If it's 4, 6, 9, 11, make them 30 size elements. And this is what we call them yesterday, ragged arrays, right? Defining a ragged array here where each month's list is smaller. But this will do them all for 31. And so now I have a two-dimensional array. For each of the 12 months, display how many days the month has. So let's just do a quick one here. Document, right line. Hard to tell, but I think I got the right stuff. Notice when you have multi-dimensional arrays, you can grab the length of the outer level, if that's what you need. If this was an array of arrays, it would tell me how many arrays I have, not how many elements are inside that array. Inside each element of the arrays, depending on how many levels deep you're going. If I ask how big is months at this point, it would tell me what?
My guess is 12.
My guess is 13.
13.
Because element 0, even though I didn't put anything in it, still has to exist because I skipped over element 1.
Length counts null and undefined
Yes,
elements.
but the for each loop, it wouldn't go through them if I hadn't done it that way. So let's prove it. He's right again. I know it's surprising. Assign a few random temperatures, meaning we pick them. So today is month number 11 on mine because I'm skipping the 0 element. And it's nice here in JavaScript because in other arrays, if you skip the 0 element, you get 31 days for that element even though you're not using it. Here, I've got nothing in that 0 element. And so if I don't want to index from 0, it really doesn't cost me anything to say start at 1. Just ignore 0. As long as I don't try to process on 0, I should be okay. So we could say that month number 11, day number 26, temperature equals, let's think warm, 24.7. And then just to prove it, document write line and display that. It's really a bad name of my array now, isn't it? And then the nested loops. If I did 4 in loops here, I should be able to, right? How many elements will it display? 365? No, actually more than that, right? 12 times 31? No, because remember the 4 in loop skips the empty elements. So my suspicion is if I can probably steal that, but let's just put it in here. If I do nested 4 in loops for variable m in months, for variable d in months sub m, document write line, got a little more elaborate than I wanted to. But I just want to show you that these are still index numbers that we can use. Now the days, this is off, isn't it? I just set the day number, unless I ignore that one. I didn't. I said set the number of days to 31, so they're indexed 0 to 30. So when I say number 26, I'm really talking about tomorrow's temperature. So I could cheat, do this. Got to have the parentheses though, otherwise it concatenates a 1. Now my suspicion is I'm not going to get much output here. Still concatenated a 1. That's bizarre. Oh, those indexes, when they come out of the arrays, even when they're numbers, are treated as strings. I think we heard that yesterday, didn't we, or last time? And when they come out of there, even though, so that all these 4 in loops are compatible, everything's a string. And so even though I'm saying add 1 here, how about if I did an add 1.0 to it? Or better yet, day times 1, that just turned it into a number plus 1. Tricky. Can you just parse it? Yeah. More typing. So lots of things to remember there. I did walk through over 300 elements of arrays here, and it said, nope, not there, nope, not there. Oh, in November it finally found one and said, here you go. Spits it out. When you use a for in loop, any undefined elements of your array are skipped. Now, if I'd done counter loops here using 0 to 11 or 1 to 12, and then said from 0 to 31, or the 0 to 30, I would have seen all the undefines. Questions about multidimensional loops? And then there's some sample logic we're not going to go through. Done. So now you're experts on arrays. Congratulations. Unfortunately, now I need a due date. Let's take a look at the assignment real quick. Is it hard? I don't remember. Oh, cool, reindeer. So it's basically spooks all over again, but now we have our 12 reindeer, or however many there are. Count the name of each reindeer, but put them into an array. No, yours doesn't count because it's a class. Right. Put them into an associative array, and you could have a nested set of associative arrays here, right? Not required, but you could. And then count each one at the end, display percentages. So I saw Rudolph, Blitzen, none, Donner, 1, which is 16% of the total of how many of these guys I put in. And there's even a Bumble. Pictures should be there. If not, let me know. Really just tweaking one part of the other one to use arrays, and then walking through the arrays to display the appropriate number of reindeer. We'll have that done by Friday, right? Okay, we'll go a little longer. Let's take a quick look at when your next one's due.
It's Monday.
It's due Monday. Yep. So, following Monday?
Sure, following Tuesday.
Following Tuesday. You don't like Mondays. You're not going to get any work done on Mondays because we got iOS and this class and all of it. You're not going to get anything done.
Yeah, but I get Tuesday then.
Noted. Okay, Tuesday. I'm easy. Plus, we're getting to the end of the semester. There's not a whole lot of big difference one way or the other. So the following Tuesday, so that'll be the 9th. End of recording.